because loneliness is almost like a death sentence sometimes.
It can get that bad. And I think it's important for us to talk about these things because
Mhm.
vulnerability is also something that I work with a lot with women that I'm engaged with. And it isn't easy to, if a person struggles with vulnerability, right? Let's say someone is a victim of loneliness to that degree, where it's mixed in with some diagnosed, conditions
Mhm.
like depression and anxiety and things like that. I've also gone through a very dark place when my mom passed in 2020. It was a very shocking and crazy time because it was before, COVID,
Mhm.
so it
Mhm.
was just totally unexpected. So I found myself in something very similar that you're describing. And if I weren't vulnerable to the point where I'm able to share with the people in my life what was
Mhm.
going on with me, or to give any hint that okay, I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like I'm going nuts right now.
Yeah.
Um, then I'm just not sure because I'm the strong friend. So I'm just not sure if anybody would have seen it, heard it. You know what I mean? I don't think that
Yeah.
anybody would have just automatically known that, okay, Nikki's not doing well.
If
You
you
know,
had voiced it, is what you're saying.
if I haven't voiced it, that I
Yeah.
have limitations in my own way,
Mhm.
breaking down and let myself just break down in the presence of others and things like that. Like, and so this is just a message to those that are the strong friend,
Mhm.
that you're the
Yeah.
strong person in your social group or in your family to just let yourself just break down if that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Just let it and let people see you do it. Don't hold it back and then wait until you get home alone so that people will understand that, oh, I never saw this before. What's this? What's going on? Because then you don't know if the people that you have in your circle also struggle with vulnerability because this is
Mhm.
something that's rampant with
Hello,
women.
everyone. Hello, this is Denise. I am half of the other beautiful co host of the Wisdom and Bloom podcast with my dear friend, Kamesha. And we are bringing to you again our residential relationship coach, Nikki Anerdo, to talk to us tonight about the challenges of managing loneliness in women. Just to remind you guys, that Nikki is a renowned relationship coach. You may have seen her on the Dr. Oz show, Tony Gaskins' The Mailroom show, where she talks about all things relationships, relational dynamics, and women empowerment. She has had some experience in her life and in her journey, which we are going to be talking about tonight, that has helped her come to the fruition that she is the person that God has called to coach some of the women of today by helping them shift their social dynamics, create better friendships, build deeper connections, and meet men in a healthy, emotional, safe way by using her own journey and recognizing the patterns of women that face challenges in today's society. And a part of that challenge is loneliness. So instead of focusing on creating better connections with yourself, with friends, potential partners, because the change starts with who you allow yourself to be in your life. And she invests in you as you invest in your growth. So help me to welcome again our relationship coach, Miss Nikki Anerdo. Thank you, Miss Nikki.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much. Thank you for having me. Happy to be back.
We are so happy to have you back. So happy to have you back. Kamesha, go ahead. I want you to go ahead and jump in. In my mind, I already know that the first question I want to ask her, but most times you already have that set. So what do you got for us tonight, Kamesha?
Well, I mean, this topic of loneliness is such a great topic for women in our age group and for our audience, as you know, because we had a very popular episode
Yes.
about women and loneliness that we released some time ago. And we'll make sure to link that. So if you
Yep.
missed it, you can catch it. And I was just so surprised to find out how many women reported that they were lonely. So there's a number of studies that we found that were kind of hanging out there about women and loneliness. And it's not just a problem um, here in the United States. We also learned that it's something that is occurring internationally, and
Yeah.
that I want to say it was Japan, maybe, is the country that has, you know, like a loneliness.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, was it Amsterdam?
Amsterdam. Hmm.
Yes.
Aloneness. Hmm.
Yes. So they have a minister of loneliness, you know,
Hmm.
because they recognize that it's such an issue. But I think we want to talk more about why we think that is, right? So, for example, one of the stats that we found was that 1 in 3 women that are over 40, so like Gen X women,
Hmm.
basically,
Mhm.
reported that they feel lonely frequently.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Frequently. This
Yeah.
isn't something that happens here and there. And, you know, maybe they go through um, times or periods when they're feeling lonely, but frequently lonely.
Yeah.
So I just want to start out by asking you, like, why do you think it affects women in this age group so much? Like, is it the different challenges that they face, or what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that question. And I'm very grateful for this topic that you ladies are so committed to this topic because it is a very big concern, right?
Hmm.
And on the male side, there are also some very interesting statistics on the male side too. That it's overall on both sides, but particularly for women in this age group. From what I've found in the work that I do with women, I'll say 35 to 55 is like my core audience.
Hmm.
It has a lot to do with life changes. Like sometimes,
Mhm.
I think oftentimes women find themselves in a life that they didn't necessarily plan. You know,
Yeah.
Mm.
how did they, wake up one day and it's like, wait, how did I get here? Where is everyone? People move, people get married, and people have young children that are now adults and they move on and get married and things like that. But there's no plan for that. It's almost like the expectation is you don't even think about it. You just think automatically, I'm just going to have community.
Yeah.
Just by
Yeah.
default, the tribe would just keep naturally just growing or stay
Mhm.
connected, or people will
Mhm.
just naturally gravitate to you. But I think
Mhm.
we can all kind of relate to the idea of how different it is now and how much harder it is to make organic friendships.
Mhm.
Not even to talk about dating, just meeting
Yeah.
people in general
Mhm.
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
so much harder, excuse me, post pandemic.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where some of these stats really just started skyrocketing because of what we all had to suffer through, during those months.
Mhm.
And it was a shock to all of our systems and sometimes social skills, that were just natural to us at one point become terrifying all of a sudden, or just
Mhm.
not really there anymore, and so, yeah, it makes it very difficult for people to maintain older connections. I read somewhere that I think every 7 years it is quite normal to reassess your friend group.
Mm.
That is
Mm.
like that's normal because people's perspective of life changes, and what you want, who you are, what you're excited about, all those things change. What your priorities are changes. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times I find that women look around, they're like, I don't really enjoy my friend group the way that I did at one
Mhm.
point. And so they find
Mhm.
themselves feeling disconnected through that too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
You said something, Nikki. You said that we find ourselves in that lonely state even with social connection, which is really kind of an oxymoron because n- it's so accessible now. You can connect and reach out to connect with anyone socially through social media, through DMs, through messaging, IG, Facebook, TikTok. There are so many streams to reach out and connect with somebody right now where 20, 30 years ago when we were making friends, you either had to call that person, on the
Yes.
landline most times, or you had to write them a letter to
Yes.
Pen
connect with
pals.
them. Yeah, or a pen
Yes.
pal. To
Yes.
connect with them was not easy. It was not an easy, feat to get it done. Where today, if I see someone that I knew 20 years ago and they're on Facebook, it's as easy as me just DMing them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
yet the loneliness statistics is higher.
It's higher.
Yeah.
social media has had an adverse effect on our ability to connect. I did a social experiment on my own, just personally,
Hmm. Hmm.
where for 4 years I was off of all social media. This was
Hmm.
probably from 2014 to 2018, I think.
Hmm.
And I made the decision to come back once I committed to starting this business, Prepare to be Pursued. So once I started my business, I said I'm going back on because I need it for business. But outside of that, those were some of the most blissful years of my life, being off of social media.
Why? What made them blissful?
Exactly what you literally just said. It took people to have effort to connect with me.
Ah.
So the people that really wanted to stay connected to me, to really know what's going on with me, they had to call me.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't
Mm-hmm.
just say, see a post on, oh, she good,
Mm-hmm.
and then oh yeah, all right, all right, good, she's good. I don't gotta call her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
I see you on social media. You do. I'm guilty of this, y'all. I am so guilty of this. I see you on social media. I see you're doing great. I even see that you just done won an award or something. Oh, she good. I don't need to
She
call
good.
her because she's good, you know?
She's good.
Yeah. Mm, mm,
Yeah, I
mm.
know
Well,
I've been
social
guilty of it too.
media is not
Mhm.
social, right? Because I
It's
think
not.
too, I know a number of people on social media who are voyeurs. They
Mhm,
are just there
mhm.
watching other people. They're just
That's
there
it.
looking to see what they're doing. They don't engage. They don't
They don't
interact. They don't
post. They
send
don't do
messages.
anything.
They don't
Hmm.
like, they don't do anything. So that's not
Hmm.
social, right? That's not
It's
building any
not.
kind of connection. It's
You're
basically
right.
you, right, just being nosy, as my mom used to say,
Mhm,
and, being
mhm.
some kind of looky loo, seeing what other people are doing. But that
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
not what it's supposed to be about. You're not supposed
yeah.
to just do that. But I think too, sometimes women, especially at this age, if they feel like they are not in the place where they want to be in comparison,
Ooh.
because social media, there's a lot of comparison, it's a big comparison game with social media, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Especially for
Yeah.
our age group, I think on Facebook is probably a big one. Because
Mm-hmm.
I know the younger
Mm-hmm.
people, they're not really on Facebook, but our group is on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, and people
Yeah.
are posting the
Mm-hmm.
highlights. They're posting all the
Mm-hmm.
highlights of their life, the
Right.
dates that they're going on, the trips that they're taking, the
For
graduations of
sure.
their kids, the births of this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
especially if you are a woman who is, in a stage where you're not connected. So you're not feeling like you have anything to share, right? There's
Right.
nothing really happening for you. That
Yeah.
connection on social media is not going to be helpful. It might even be detrimental, right?
It
If you
could
are
be.
continuing, yes,
For sure.
to watch
For
that.
sure. Yeah, I've heard exactly what you're saying. Just even in personal friends that I have, like sometimes they might feel uncomfortable even calling friends,
Mm,
because it's like I don't have any updates. It's the same old, same old. I'm just around and trying to survive.
yeah.
They'll feel uncomfortable meeting new people because it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, well, when it's time to talk about myself, what am I going to talk about? I'm not really that
Mhm,
exciting. I don't do
Mm-hmm.
anything. Church, work, home. That's it. That's my life.
Right, right, right. Same old, same old. And you
mhm,
also mentioned that this is it's the period in middle-aged women's life where there's a lot of things that are changing for them.
mhm.
So, can you speak a little bit about like what these changes are and how they can lead to loneliness?
Yeah, for sure. It can be isolating to, at times, body changes, hormonal changes. I just had a hysterectomy like a month and a half ago, So
Mm,
it's things that if you don't have connection with other
mhm,
women, you'll
mhm,
think that you're all by yourself, you know.
mm,
Mm.
You'll think that, oh, it'll be just you'll be so overwhelmed, but what you can do positively is be curious about the women that you do have in your life. You'll be
mhm,
surprised how many people have had the same procedure, the
mhm,
same hormonal stuff, the same
mhm,
whatever it is that's going on with you, and ask questions. Like I was very, very blessed to have had three close people in my life that I knew already had it. I already knew that they had that procedure before it was time for mine. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was able to hit them up on the phone, tell me everything, girl.
Yeah.
And I felt so comfortable going, not so comfortable. I mean, it's nervousness, but
Yeah.
Right, but it helped.
still it helped a
Mhm.
lot. So that's
Yeah.
one finish point of it. The other thing is what I hear a lot is kids getting older and women just not being prepared for the kids moving on.
Mm.
Particularly, I think what really pains them the most is for when they have sons.
Yeah.
Sons, what I'm hearing is the sons are the ones that kind of gave the impression that they were going to be there, and they just know they're going to be there, right? Because a lot of times I talk to women, okay, your daughter's already out, daughters let you know, look, I'm out of here,
Yeah.
the son kind of gives the impression that they're going to be there and they're not
They
going to,
linger because they linger so long.
yeah, but they get a woman and they out of there. So, you
Mhm.
know, and anytime to prepare yourself for living alone. So, um, I would suggest that women that have teenagers, you start thinking about this. Start planning your life
Mhm.
when you have, as a woman that has adult children. Start to think about what that's going to look like.
I knew of a young lady
Mm-hmm.
my age, and she was a single parent, and
Yes.
she had one son, and
Mm-hmm.
um, her son ended up leaving the nest eventually. I mean, he had lived with her for a while, but he ended up leaving the nest, and when he left the nest, she went into a depression. She went into a depression so bad that she actually became suicidal. And
Mm-mm.
when her son would come home from college and he would try and check on her and, be present there for her, her depression had gotten so bad that even he didn't know what to do or how to help her. I mean, she's doing amazing now because
Thank gosh.
yeah, she's
Goodness.
doing amazing now, but it took the effort of one friend. Now, I actually just met her, and I
Okay.
met her on the end of her on in her healing journey,
I
and
understand.
it was so profound because when I met her, I had just been laid off from a job that I've been on for 26 years, and I didn't know my next step, and I was
Mm,
depressed. And so when I met her, she saw the depression in me, even though I tried to mask it.
mm,
She saw it in me, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And she said, "You're not okay." And and that's how we became. But the way she came out of her depression is someone took the effort to come to her and
wow.
spend time with her. Come pick her up, put her in the car with them, take her to church with him, bring food to her, called every day to check on her, come by I mean, they literally took time out of their day and made
Wow.
a conscientious effort for months, not for a week, not for 2 weeks, and then it tailed off. For
Mm,
months and months and months, they invested in their friend until their friend was able to get on that healing journey alone. The
wow.
loneliness had literally taken over her life.
Oh my
Yeah.
Wow,
So
that
Wow.
is that's like so extreme. Now I do know of women
Mm-hmm.
because it's interesting when we're talking about loneliness and then some of the solutions involve
Mm-hmm.
building more connections, right? And
Mm-hmm.
restoring relationships or
Mm-hmm.
creating new relationships. And what has sent them into this loneliness is the ending of a
the opposite.
relationship. Right? It's
Hmm.
the opposite. It's like the
Hmm.
ending of a relationship. So even
Yeah.
if it's the parent-child relationship, which I don't think we talk enough about as moms
Yeah.
because there's so
Mm-hmm.
many expectations for mothers,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
when things change, right? Because children get older, right? That's the whole
Yeah.
point. You're supposed to be raising little
Yeah.
independent people that can
Mm-hmm.
eventually take care of themselves. But no one
Mm-hmm.
really talks about what happens when you're not needed anymore, or you're not
Oh,
needed in the same way anymore.
yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
just feel completely replaced. If, like you
Yeah.
said, you have a son and now they have a girlfriend or a wife, and they're like, "Oh no, mom, I don't need you to do that. My wife has got that. Oh no, mom, my girl's gonna do that for me. Oh no, mom." You're like, "What?"
What?
Right?
It
So
catches
that
women off
can,
guard.
Yes. I mean, I really see how that can have a woman thinking, okay, what is my role now? Like what
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
I
Who am I?
do? And
Who
where
am
do I
Especially
I?
go?
If I'm
especially when
not a
you done
mom.
spent you especially when you done spent upwards 18 to 25 years sometimes or more,
Mm-hmm.
caring for that person in some capacity, not saying that
Yes.
you're their caretaker, but in some
Yes.
capacity, you're still
Mm-hmm.
playing the parental role in a
Mm-hmm.
way that you're still needed. You
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the one
Absolutely.
thing that she said that she didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
needed, but she said she didn't feel needed not just by him, but by
Mm-hmm.
anyone because she was divorcee and she just didn't feel
Mm.
needed by anyone.
Mm.
Yeah, I can absolutely. I know at least one woman that is currently in a very similar situation. We're not in the same state, but it can creep up on a woman now, what you're
Yeah.
describing. And so my hope is for those of us that are listening who aren't really at that extreme, if you know
Mhm.
somebody that is, that you doing what you just said that friend did for her is a blessing,
Yeah.
and so if we can continue to be that to each other, and because and that's another thing. I think, and I don't know what to attribute this to, but I think it's certain cultures and certain time in the past, maybe even in this society, that was normal to
Hmm.
be that all up in somebody's business. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? To be like,
Yeah.
look, girl, like get
Hmm.
yourself
Get
together. Let's
yourself
do this
together. We
thing.
got you.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes.
We in this
Mm-hmm.
together. Let's come on. And but today it just seems like, and I was literally having this conversation a short while ago, earlier today. Like I think there's just so much fear or
Yeah.
distrust or cynicism attached to things. It makes us second guess even some wholehearted efforts to help each other.
Hmm.
So if there's a way that we can get over that, like, oh, I
Hmm.
don't want to do that, and then she, spaz out on me or something like that, or you know what I mean, or she's just not gonna like it, or she's gonna be upset at me. How can we overcome that to make sure that we're
Yeah.
able to actually just do the thing?
Just do it. And it can literally save your life. I suffer from anxiety, PTSD. I go to therapist. I'm always trying to figure out how to bring the calm. You know what I mean? And but every
Mhm.
now and then I get into a really dark hole. I mean, very dark to the point where I can't get out of bed. I can't
Mhm.
shower. I can't
Mhm.
eat. I can't do anything. It's
Mhm.
something will trigger me and then I can't get myself out of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember getting in a dark place one time so bad that I couldn't come out of the house. I couldn't even get my children dressed. I lived overseas at the time and I was laying on the couch and I just couldn't move. And someone knocked at the door. My oldest daughter opened the door, and in come two of my friends from church members. And they literally came in, start opening blinds,
Yeah.
start lifting me up off the couch, and I'm just weeping, crying. They was lifting me up off the couch. That had a rag. One person got a hot rag, started wiping me down. The other one starts talking to me and praying. They was like, "We're not leaving. We're not about to do this. We will be here every day until you can put your
Mhm.
pants on, until you can put
Right.
your shirt on, until you
Yeah.
can do your hair." You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I think about things like I still have connection with them today. They're in another state, but there's not
Mhm.
too many people who know that dark part about me. And
Yes.
I think about that sometimes, like, suppose they were not there, what would have happened? You know what I mean? Because I
For sure.
literally couldn't do anything for me or my children. You know, and my
Mm.
husband's military, he wasn't there, he was away. And I had
Mm.
shut myself up in the house, blinds down, everything.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I look at that thinking, if no one checked on you,
Yeah.
what would happen?
What happened?
Because loneliness is almost like a death sentence sometimes.
It can get that bad. And I think it's important for us to talk about these things because
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability is also something that I work with a lot with women that I'm engaged with. And it isn't easy if a person struggles with vulnerability, right? let's say someone is a victim of loneliness to that degree, where it's mixed in with some diagnosed, conditions
Mhm.
like depression and anxiety and things like that. I've also gone through a very dark place when my mom passed in 2020. It was a very shocking and crazy time because it was before, COVID,
Mhm.
so it
Mhm.
was just totally unexpected. So I found myself in something very similar that you're describing. And if I weren't vulnerable to the point where I'm able to share with the people in my life what was
Mhm.
going on with me, or to give any hint that okay, I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like I'm going nuts right now.
Yeah.
Um, then I'm just not sure because I'm the strong friend. So I'm just not sure if anybody would have seen it, heard it. You know what I mean? I don't think that
Yeah.
anybody would have just automatically known that okay, Nikki's not doing well.
If
You
you
know,
had voiced it, is what you're saying.
if I haven't voiced it, that I
Yeah.
have limitations in my own way,
Mhm.
breaking down and let myself just break down in the presence of others and things like that. Like, and so this is just a message to those that are the strong friend.
Mhm.
That you're the
Yeah.
strong person in your social group or in your family to just let yourself just break down if that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Just let it and let people see you do it. Don't hold it back and then wait until you get home alone so that people will understand that oh, I never saw this before. What's this? What's going on? Because then you don't know if the people that you have in your circle also struggle with vulnerability because this is
Mhm.
something that's rampant with women,
Mhm.
right? And so if they also find it hard to be that person to dive in and get all up in your house, you know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
everybody has that, and I thank God for those that do, but not everybody has that type of thing in them. And so
Yeah.
sometimes they need a little bit of a sign that you're not doing too well, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, you bring up a very good point because I know we spoke about this as well in our episode about how Black women, especially, but any minority woman,
Oh,
really.
checking on our strong friend.
Yes,
Mm,
because there's this, you're the strong Black woman, you're so
mm,
strong,
mm,
nothing ever breaks you, nothing ever bothers you, like you're always okay. People
Mhm.
don't think to check on you. Now, you
no.
said you had something devastating occur. Your mom has passed. So obviously that's going to impact you, right? Whether you're a strong person or you're not a
Mhm.
strong person, right? That's going to have
Yes.
some kind of impact. But
Mhm.
because you're a strong person and like you said, people don't see you crying or breaking down all the time or you always figure things out, they
Yeah.
Mm,
don't check on you. They don't ask. They think everything is okay.
everything's
And
okay.
I believe you're right. It's on us, the strong women, right, to
Mhm.
Yeah.
say, I'm not strong right now. Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing well right now.
Yeah.
This is not a good day for me.
Mhm.
And let them see that you are actually human. Right?
Right.
You're actually human
Big
so that
time.
you can allow people to support you because it's
Right.
Yeah.
not also not fair to not allow people to know what's going on, but then think people are supposed to know, right? But
That's
you don't
right.
say
Right.
anything,
Right.
right? You're not
Mhm.
sharing what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
I
isn't
would
that crazy though? Because I don't know about you, Nikki and Kamisha, but we were raised, you can't be telling everybody what you're going
Your
through. You can't be
business.
telling
Yeah.
everybody your business. You don't need to see no psychiatrist. That's for crazy people. You're not crazy.
Mm,
You can't be sharing all that. So you almost grow up just masking it and and being almost ashamed to
yeah.
say, I'm lonely and I'm not okay.
Mhm.
right.
We
I'm
got to
not
talk about that.
okay.
We have to talk about that because we can say that we're grieving. We can
Mm-hmm.
say that I'm frustrated. We can say we're
Mm-hmm.
mad and angry. We can say, oh, I just broke up with someone. I'm so angry at him or I'm hurt because of that breakup.
Mm-hmm.
But the word lonely, I think that's just like an unspoken no-no.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going too far to be able to
Mm-hmm.
self-identify as lonely. But in
Mm-hmm.
our private time, I know there's definitely been times in my life where I felt very detached and very lonely.
Yeah.
Um, I can date back as early as my teenage years, but more recently, life, I've had some life-changing experiences, and people tend to, you know, your connections aren't showing up the same way. When
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
begin to grow and change, they start to respond to that in unexpected ways. So it
Mm-hmm.
requires a whole different type of way of being to make sure those relationships can be maintained, and then also to make new connections too. So all that while managing other priorities and stuff like that can feel overwhelming. So I mean, goodness gracious, I can name so many times in my life where I felt detached. What I want to offer everyone that might struggle with self-identifying as lonely, or telling your girlfriend, hey, I'm kind of feeling lonely, or reaching out and kind of using that language to describe yourself,
Yeah.
is looking at the actual definition of loneliness. And everybody can just look it up on your phone. I'm going to
Mhm.
paraphrase here, just from memory. That is simply the gap between where you are now and where you want to be socially. That's it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a death sentence. It is not a diagnosis or anything extra. It
Right. Doesn't
isn't
mean something's
anything.
wrong with
It doesn't
you.
mean you need
Right.
to fix anything or you're broken or anything. Even a diagnosis doesn't mean you're broken.
Mhm.
But the point of it is, it can be something that is attainable. It
Mhm.
is something that you can, switch, at any given point, whenever you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Because all that means is, if you're clear that this is, I don't like this. I don't like feeling disconnected. I'm not connected. I need people. We're
Right.
human beings.
Right.
It's a core need for us. Just like we need
Mm-hmm.
food, we need connection, because that's
Mm-hmm.
how we were just made.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that there's no shame in needing it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't need nothing. We just got to be like all
That's the
self-sufficient.
key
Mm-hmm.
right there. That's the key right there.
You know what I mean? But look at it differently. That, oh, I don't. If you struggle with, oh, I don't want to need my best friend. Oh, I don't want to need my sister. Oh, I don't want to need my husband. I want to need my boyfriend. Whatever it is that you're thinking about, that you're trying to kind of like struggle with that over attachment to a human
Yeah.
being. All I need is God. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But,
Me and
you know
Jesus,
what I'm saying?
Jesus. That's all I
Oh,
need is Jesus.
all I need is Jesus. Okay, fine. But Jesus don't put you here with us. So what you gonna do? You know what you
Right.
gonna do about that? Okay.
Even
So I
Jesus had
mean,
his disciples. He wasn't alone, right?
that's
Like he
right.
wasn't
Even
alone.
Jesus wasn't alone. Come on now, he had his crew. So I mean, that's straight up truth. So it's
Mhm.
like, it's okay. Just figure it
Yeah.
out. Take it easy. But I think a lot of what keeps us from, closing that gap is
Mhm.
fear of what
Mm-hmm.
it might take to close that
Mhm.
gap.
Mhm. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
I think
And
agree.
there's a
then
lot of
fear of
ways to do
how
it.
what that looks like and what that says about you,
Mhm.
because sometimes I think we feel people are judging us in a
Oh,
way that they are not, because we're judging us. So we're
Mhm.
judging
yeah,
us, and then we're projecting that onto other people. Oh, if I say I'm lonely, or if I say that I want to be in a relationship or romantic
yeah,
relationship, people are going to think I'm not strong and I can't take care of myself.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
That's not true.
it's not
Yeah.
true.
No, but you know what? That brings me, that's a segue into one of the questions that we had, Nikki, was about people who are in relationships, but they still feel lonely. And we know that there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. But
For
there
sure.
are people who are in relationships and they still feel lonely.
Ooh.
How do they address that type of loneliness? Because you're in a relationship, you're there. Y'all may even possibly be married or living together, whatever the situation may be,
For
but
sure.
you're suffering from loneliness.
For sure. There are a lot of angles I can take with that. Let's start with different emotional styles, I guess, or ways of expressing love, or different communication styles, or you know, attachment style. Like it can, I mean, what is it called? Personality type. All this, right?
Mhm.
So, if two people are incompatible, but they're married or they're in a relationship, then yes, it's likely that one or both of them might experience loneliness, because the fit, they have different, they're on two different wavelengths as
Yeah.
far as how to satisfy them emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of, in that regard, I will hope both people are willing to kind of look at the problem, if it's a problem, and
Yeah.
try to figure out like why, what is going on there, how they can try to get more on the same page. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel loved when you do this, or if you took me here, or if you said this once in a while, you know, I feel seen and heard when you do this, or say this to me, or sit down and do this, and blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, that the communication is there and it's received, and you know both parties are willing to work on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Miss.
Oh,
I'm listening.
I was also going to say, you know, sometimes the imbalance is in a relationship or what have you. I would guess that the imbalance sometimes will be it's there could be factors where someone is probably in more need
Mm-hmm.
than usual because
Mm-hmm.
of you know, maybe mental concerns, emotional concerns. Maybe they're going through a difficult time in their life and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
the other partner's probably coasting like usual.
Yeah.
Everything's normal on their side, but this person is in distress. You know, the
Wow.
partner's in distress,
Mm-hmm.
and the other partner is just like, I don't know how to
I
handle it.
don't I don't see, and I don't see nothing wrong. We're doing fine. We got this, we got that, we got the house, we got the cars, we got this. I don't see nothing wrong. So
Yeah.
what's the problem?
What's
Mm-hmm.
the problem?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, then if someone's going through something that they, you know, that's just unique to that time period of life, they that's where communication, I would guess, will need to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's, I mean, I have limited background on people within relationships and marriage, but those are my
Mm-hmm.
guesses with the work that I do, which is mostly preparing women to date. So the women I
Mm-hmm.
work with mostly, they haven't had great dates in a long time. They're not comfortable with men yet. You know, it's been some stuff going on with them. They've been focusing on other
They haven't
things.
had a chance to be lonely in the relationship because
Yeah, they haven't
they
quite
Never
gotten,
lonely
had a
outside the
relationship.
relationship.
or maybe that was the cause of a marriage ending in their past. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So maybe
True.
they have remembrance of it and they're afraid to kind of
Ah,
recreate that. And so I'll
yeah.
work with them to help them see things a little bit differently as
Mm-hmm.
they prepare to meet somebody, right? So women like that have that kind of experience. That's when I work on helping them understand. Like, look, you just need to make sure you work on the compatibility a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
to lessen that likelihood of that
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Go ahead,
But
Camille.
but
No,
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say that it even in relation, even if you are a person who is lonely in the way of you
Mhm.
want a relationship, right? You want
Yeah,
companionship, you
for
seek
sure.
marriage, whatever it is. You also need to admit that as well, right? And I
Big
feel,
time.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that women sometimes say, at least I've heard this from some of my circle, I don't need a
Hmm.
man. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
true?
I
You know
hear
what I
you.
mean?
It is
Is that
going
really?
on right now. It
Yeah.
is so rampant. It's like the man or the bear, and they're
And why
choosing.
do we say that that's okay? Like, why do we think that there's a problem? I guess I should say. If you
Well,
say, you know what, I want a man. I want to be in a relationship. I want
that is, women are
companionship.
in the minority that are feeling confident enough to admit that, because you would get your head ripped off saying that in the midst of a bunch of single women that don't
Mm-hmm.
agree. Okay, you'll get eaten
Mm-hmm.
alive.
Yes, they
Mm-hmm.
are
So,
fine
and
being
I'm gonna tell
single.
you my perspective on that.
Yes.
Um, I don't think. Okay, look, I'm not coming for anybody that just check, they don't ever want to be touched by a man ever in their life.
They
Okay,
just
if
tired. They
that,
done. They
you
and
know
they.
what I'm saying? If you
If you
that far
done, you
out the
done.
game, if you
Mm-hmm.
done, you done. I'm not trying to convert you. Go
Yeah.
ahead and do whatever it is that you think
Yeah.
is best for you. You know, fine. But for those that say, that keep talking, especially at a certain age, if you just keep proclaiming, I don't need. Who are you saying this to, and for what?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What
Good
is the
point.
purpose of declaring that? Like, why?
Right.
What is this about? And so, my thought
What is the
is,
purpose? What is
Why
what
the
is
why is
the
that your
purpose?
declaration in life?
Yeah, like who? really cares? I don't know. But I think it comes from
That is
wanting
funny.
to just be in communion with other women. Oh, that's what we're doing now? Okay, then I'm down with it too.
Mm.
But they're secretly on these dating apps.
Mhm.
They are secretly having these situationships.
Mhm.
They are engaging with men. They
Mhm.
just don't want to admit it, right? They don't
Wow.
want to admit it, okay? Because, I mean, they're secretly hoping that a man sees them when they're out and about. Even if they're
Mhm.
celibate, even if they're saying, I ain't been touched in a long time, fine.
Mhm.
But when you going out, you're hoping that somebody, oh, I didn't get approached again, right? And so if anybody's listening to this conversation and this triggers you,
Mm.
this is an invitation to
Mhm.
just be wholehearted with yourself.
Yeah.
What I have found, because I work with women that have said that have lived that have felt that deep down, and then after they do the Make Room for Boaz challenge, they soften up.
Wow.
They start to soften because you ain't dealing with nobody else but yourself now.
Mhm.
So this type of questions that I ask, it helps you just be honest with what's there. Do you really, at the end of life, want to just never have engagement with a man ever from this point to the end of life? Is that what you signed up for? If that's where you're at, don't ever talk to me again. I can't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
But if you know deep down inside you would like to have something, then you're going to have to be a little more intentional than keep proclaiming I don't need this, don't want that. And the other thing I would say is when you in a group, when the women are in a group proclaiming that, it's one thing. You pull one of them to the side and have a private conversation with them. They begin to say, yeah, I would want to be married again. Yeah, I do want to be married. I've never been married. Yeah, I do want that.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. However, in order to be married to a man, you need a man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where you start. Okay.
It's like in order to win the lottery, you got to play the lottery.
Sorry to tell you, but
Right, right.
so the math ain't mathing. If you think you're gonna
Yeah.
be married to a man without a man,
How's that gonna
how,
work?
how that gonna work? What that look like?
But
Mhm.
So
it's a woman thing for sure, I think, because when
yeah,
we were talking, remember Denise, when we had our interview with men, and if you
Men.
haven't watched
mhm.
that episode, please make sure you watch that episode.
When it comes
Um,
out, it
they
doesn't come
were
out yet, but if you haven't
yes.
watched
Well,
it,
it will have come out by the
oh,
time we
by the
listen to
time
this.
we get done with
Oh, by the
this,
time
yeah.
we get done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the men were very quick to say, we want to be married. Like
Yeah.
we want to be in a long-term relationship. Like we want to be monogamous. Like they were not, well, we kind of
But they
before
also
it
said
was
that they were meeting women that was like, I don't need a man. I mean,
Exactly.
and then he's like, well, what am I doing here
Exactly. What am
then?
I doing here? What's the purpose? What am I supposed to do with you?
right.
And then women are shocked and amazed when they're not getting what they want. They're not being treated
Right.
well.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because that's what I've been telling the women I work with for ages.
Mhm.
Because I'm saying I can't be the only one having this experience. Like every man that I've ever dated wanted a wife. You know what I'm saying? It was ready to
Yeah.
get married. You know, I was a problem. I was like,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
a whole other kind of worms. It's another story. But yeah, there are men out
Ah.
there that are not playing. They want marriage and they're just not playing.
Mhm.
So
Yes, yes.
it's not hard to find if a woman feels like they're attracted men that just are non-committal, it's probably because you might have a layer of that. I don't really want this, need this, and it's fear. A lot of times when you
Mhm.
really look deep, it's fear because you don't know what to do. If you knew exactly what to do
Mhm.
to get what you want from a man,
Mhm.
would you really be saying you don't want one?
Right.
It's so crazy that you bring that up to Nikki. You said every man I've ever dated wanted to get married. They wanted a relationship. It was me. I was the problem. This is just crazy because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, my oldest daughter, she's married right now. She's been married 8, 9, 10 years. And
Mm-hmm.
but the guys that she dated before, I can think of 3 or 4 relationships she had before this marriage. Every single one of them wanted to ask her to marry him.
Yes.
Two of them did, but every single one of them wanted a marriage. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about this, I can think she had like 3 or 4 relationships, but 100% of every one of them of each relationship, they wanted to get married. They
I'm telling
wanted a
you.
commitment, they wanted a relationship, and she was like, uh, no. As soon
Yeah.
as soon as that came up, she
Hmm.
started weaning herself away from the
Yeah.
relationship, you know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
every single one of them. So it's so
So
that's
they're out there. That's not the question, like you said. So
Mhm.
she did exactly what works.
Mhm.
You make sure that you are having that type of response for men
Mhm.
on a regular basis, and then you
Mhm.
choose when you're ready to choose. That's it.
Mhm.
When
Mhm.
you're ready to
Mhm.
settle down as a woman, you know and have confidence that that ain't going to be a problem. And
Yeah.
I think that's the powerful place that a lot of women want to be, but
Mhm.
they don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
so yeah.
So
Yeah.
before we bring all of this, wrap all of this up, I promise that I was going to kind of talk to you about this, Nikki, the next time we chatted. I would
Hmm.
love to know, a little bit of your journey with
Yes.
relationships and loneliness, of how
Yes.
you became Nikki Anerdo, the relationship coach, and not just the relationship coach, but a coach who fosters a community of women to engage and to think about relationship and loneliness and so many other things in a different mindset. So how
Mhm.
did you become that person?
It is incredible. Like, I mean, I don't even, whenever I'm asked this question, I'm like, oh my God, it just seems a little bit unreal
Yeah.
because I'm the least likely person in my family to be doing what I'm doing, just to be honest.
Yeah.
My past
Your
doesn't
do
make
your
any sense.
family do your family let you know that you are the least likely person to be doing?
No, I know it. I don't need them to tell me. Uh-uh. Okay, I'm the least outspoken. I
Mhm.
have two siblings that are married, and I've never been married.
Mhm.
My past is checkered. It's not perfect at all.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't understand how
Yeah.
I got here, to be quite honest. But I'll tell you what I know. Okay.
Yeah.
What I know is, as far as I can remember, I've been a painfully shy person
Mhm.
as a child.
Mhm.
Pain. I'm saying. Okay.
Mhm.
The loneliness and the isolation and the feeling like nobody will understand me was very, 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 very strong up
Mhm.
until maybe college. So all through my adolescence and everything like that. I can go into the reasons why. I
Mhm.
think what contributed to that, me being first generation African American, my parents are Nigerian, so it there's that factor of not really understanding how I identify. I'm being raised here, but at home is Nigeria.
Mhm.
So it's like not knowing who I am or how to fit in. And there are other, just emotional factors to that as well. But yeah, I would go full days without speaking to anybody. I would
Yeah.
just avoid people. I just didn't know how to connect
Mhm.
until I just got sick and tired of feeling that way and really went on a journey of overcoming some of these fears and let myself be heard, let myself be seen. So that was the first leg of my development, was in college. I started making more friends and things like that. Okay, cool. As I began to date, and because I was very, very sheltered in life, but as I began to date and meet young men and things like that, I was very reckless. I was very like, I don't care, I don't care, I don't
Yeah.
care. Because I really didn't understand. My parents, I guess, were doing the best they could. My parents were married until my mom passed.
Mhm.
They did the best they could, raising all of us, providing for us and everything like that. But I have to say, I did not know how to interact with boys or men because I just didn't. I wasn't allowed to date at all.
Yeah.
Um, so kind of just thrown out there, don't know what I'm doing. And so ended up, in a relationship that didn't end the way I wanted it to. My beautiful daughter was a result of that relationship, however, and focus on raising her. just focused on raising her. Fast forward several years, I found out that I had an interest in getting people together to talk about relationships. And that's what I began to do. It started in my house. People would come over and they wouldn't leave until 5 o'clock in the morning. And so I was like, okay, there's something here. They wouldn't leave until the sun came up. I was just like, all right, this show is over. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But it was such vibrant conversations. We could not sleep. And so I would keep having them. And then eventually it turned online. So I would host these things virtually. And so that was amazing. That was great. And then God got into it. You know, the conversations we were having was kind of off color and stuff like that, which is real weird stuff I started getting to. But God started convicting me. He started convicting me in the way that I was kind of leading my life wasn't all the way responsible. And, you know, in that though, this is where the journey to prepare to be pursued comes in. People will continuously tell me that I should be doing this professionally, whatever that meant. I'm just trying to have fun just like y'all. I don't know what you're talking about. And then that's when God hit me. And he pulled me out of that. And that's what initiated the 4 years of me getting off social media I was telling you about. And so in that journey, I began to find myself who I was before certain things happened to me. Let me reconnect with the core of who I am instead of morphing into what people wanted me to be. And who am I outside of being a mother? Who do I want to see myself as after my child gets older and gets on with herself? You know, what is it that I want for myself? So that is not an easy journey. Those are not easy questions.
No. Yeah.
You know, it was a very difficult journey to go through. And I went through it just me and God for the most part. People around me didn't really understand what was going on with me because they're used to a certain side of me, fun loving, all this kind of stuff, party girl, whatever it is. And so it was transformational. It honestly was. And so anyway, I kept having these events. We'll invite panelists to come in, really smart people, therapists, PhDs, all that. Come on and talk to these people because I don't know. But I would structure the events in such a way that it impressed one of the therapists. And he was like, okay, you're basically telling us what to say. I don't know if you realize that. And so what you put together is good and you should do this professionally. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm in corporate America making good money or whatever it is, just trying to do this for fun. And he was like, no, you need to become a coach. Don't be a therapist like me. It's limited. No, you need the freedom, be a coach. And I really took that to heart because that wasn't the first time I heard that. So it's confirmation. And so the rest is history pretty much. I began the journey of getting certified, learning the techniques, understanding how to build a business around it. Also understanding the group of women that could benefit from the expertise that I have, which is mostly the connection, making sure that you understand the initial connection of a thing. Because like we said, you can want marriage and all that stuff, but how are you going to get there if the man isn't there?
Yeah. I know of another.
That seems so obvious, but
it's not
a question. It's gonna be very hard to be married if you ain't got a partner to marry.
You need a partner. I know of another relationship style coach in Atlanta. I mean, a while back, Kamesha, me and you actually did an episode on her as she talked about strong women, but she too is not married. And she said that people have criticized her, like, how can you be a relationship coach, you know, connecting people when you're not even married? But she went through so much, like relationships, the experience where she was wrong, the partner was wrong. She experienced every part of a relationship, and she got to the point where she just felt like dating was her best avenue. And but because she had so much experience as you do, she was able to coach other women who were able to make commitments and get married and be married for long times, and you know, and so she stepped
it's
into
possible. I don't see how one has anything to do with the other. And I'm not going to tell anybody how to think or how to invest in themselves, but this is my thought. on it. And this is why women, even therapists, people that have been married before, have more experience than I do, come to me, and I work with them towards their next goal. It's two things mostly. First is, I'm not coming from a perspective that I'm telling you what to do. I'm not saying I'm the wise almighty and I'm telling you what to do and I know what your future holds. I don't. I'm not an oracle.
Yeah.
I know what is likely not going to get you results out here in these streets.
Because you've experienced it.
Okay. So I've gotten pretty consistent, great connections with men. That's not my problem. So the women that work with me, they unfortunately have had that problem. That when they try, they don't get treated well. I don't have that problem. Okay. So if you want to know how to be treated well from day one consistently, that's so that you can choose from those type of options at least. That's a great way to start. The second thing is, I personally don't make investments in companies or people or mentors or anything like that, looking at their life and then coveting their life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't
Right.
care
Like
about
if your life is good and your relationship is good, you must know how to coach me then.
No,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. I don't care about that. What I care about is, do you have the skill and the calling on your life to be able to coach me to my best self? Because a lot of times it's the image of things people are chasing, but the person don't have the technique. They don't have the technique to get somebody the results in their own life. So that's why I showcase the women that go through my program, their results. Last year we had 4 weddings. Okay. That's not in 1 year. Okay. That's not a coincidence, and I don't work with, a whole bunch of people at a time for that reason, so that I can really focus on them. This system works, and it works because it's focused on overcoming things that, or revealing things that a lot of times women don't want to look at. You don't want to look at the things that are connected to the outcomes that a woman is getting while meeting strangers. There's so many things in it, but yeah, I can understand how people don't really want to work with someone that doesn't have the results they're going for. Fine, no problem. We're not going to do well together. But for those that are more interested is this person gifted in getting other people results? That if you see that, then invest in that, whether it's me or somebody else.
Yeah. That's why you see some of the greatest teachers in the world are people who don't have kids, because their calling and their purpose is to teach kids not to have kids. And it's, I hear people all the time say, how are you going to tell me how to raise my kid when you don't have kids? I've met some of the greatest teachers in the world that I feel that they ain't have no kids, and I'm
and there's a
still,
lot of people who have kids that are terrible parents. So just
Right,
having
that's
kids
true.
doesn't make you a good
True.
parent or somebody who can teach somebody how to be a parent either. It doesn't fall in line that way either.
Yeah, that's almost saying that before you go to the gynecologist or OBGYN, do you have kids? Who cares? Can they deliver the baby? I don't care if you
know what you're
yourself
doing.
had babies. Like, I don't care about that. Can you catch mine when it comes out? I don't even know.
That's all that matters.
That's it. Results in my life. That's what I care about. But yeah.
Well, I feel like we've come full circle here talking about loneliness in relationships, right? So if you are if you are lonely in the way of, I want to have a close relationship with the man, or the romantic relationship, I should say, the man or woman, then definitely Miss Nikki can help you. But I would like to also ask, if somebody is experiencing loneliness, and they want to start pulling themselves out of it, whether it's Maybe they want to move to a place where they can be open to a romantic relationship. Maybe they just want more friends, you know? Or maybe
Yeah.
they just feel like, I don't know what to do with myself now that my son has left home and is away at college, and or or my children are all gone, or I just had this divorce and like my life has not looked like this in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Are there a few things that you can share or steps that you can give them to take to start moving out of that place so that they're not sinking further, into
Yes.
loneliness, possible depression, and all of those kinds of things?
For sure. I think that's such a good question. I actually think it's great that we're folding in friendships into this thing too, because that's a big important thing. Um, so a lot of the work that is also encompassed in what we do is the social development. Okay, so that is essentially having a plan or a desire to figure out and art, just really build your social network. When we're young, we really have to think about it. When you're in school, there's people, everybody, your peers are right there in your face. But as you get older, you have to construct your social circle. If you weren't able to maintain the people that you had when you were, in an earlier stage of life.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So the first step is to give yourself permission to be intentional.
Mm.
Okay. Give yourself, once you've identified that, yes, I am feeling some kind of way and I don't like this, I feel disconnected, I feel isolated, I feel lonely, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Give yourself permission to take action, to look into it a little bit. You might have to do some
Yeah.
research. You might have to do some stuff that's uncomfortable, that make you feel like, why I got to do all this? I should have to. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
not? It's for your wellness. Why not? So that's
Mhm.
step one. Step two is to actually do the stuff. you know, but meet yourself where you're at. You don't have to jump off and then,
Give yourself
go
grace.
with
Hmm.
friends, people, women you ain't never meet. You don't
Hmm.
have to do all of that. You can really start small in your local community. You can begin to volunteer. You can just go to church more and serve. You can,
Hmm.
ask your neighbors, hey, you want to just hang out at the clubhouse, or you just want
So
to go
walking
like
with them.
walking. That's such a good idea.
Hmm.
Something, you know, and as you're doing number three, I just did a workshop on deeper conversations, and that was um, really helpful for women to understand. Like, as they're in the midst of people, how do you have conversations to help it go a little bit deeper than just surface? So you're just not talking about the weather, for
Mm.
20 minutes, so it goes a little deeper,
Yeah.
about where you're from, how do you know the person, the host of this thing, like having questions that have a little more texture to it. That's
Yeah.
especially helpful for introverts that sometimes might not know what to say when meeting new people. That's a lot of times a struggle. Or sometimes even extroverts have trouble making connections, believe it or not, because they feel that it stays surface a whole lot of times. Or they
Mm.
feel like they're just performing in a space rather than actually making a connection. It's one-sided. Like
Yeah.
people are just like looking at them like, yeah,
Do
entertain
something.
me.
Say something.
Say
Entertain me.
something. Yeah, and they leave work. They leave like, wait a minute, I don't think I didn't even make a real connection. So yeah, those are just some high level things to do. There are techniques around everything that I just mentioned, but it's I think the most important part and sometimes the hardest part is giving yourself permission to actually do something different. It's not easy, but
Yeah.
just know that you're not alone. So there are other women that are struggling in probably a different way, but that will be absolutely excited to be connected. So,
Mhm. And I
mhm.
think another part of that too, especially just to piggyback on that, especially if your loneliness have gotten you down the rabbit hole, to raise your hand and say something to someone who loves you and let them know that you're not okay.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for
Let them know
sure.
you're not okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah,
Comes back
very
to the
important.
person, right? You have to actually take some action too, right? And
Yeah.
right, you have to take some action. You
I
have
think
to.
all of those steps
Hmm.
required some type of action,
It does, and it's hard. I think that's
It
why
is.
a lot of people do nothing,
Yeah.
because I can see it in my clients' eyes. And I have empathy every single time. Because when you're in that, and I know what it feels like to be in that space, it is very hard to pull yourself out.
Mhm.
It is very difficult to pull yourself out of it. So, my encouragement is that you at least, try to let someone know, okay, I'm not doing so well. Could you
Mhm.
help me out? I don't know what I need, but I think I can do better than what I'm doing right now. I just don't know how to get there. If you say those words to someone that loves you, they're going to try to figure it out with you together so
Mhm.
that you can have the wherewithal to do some of these things.
What a powerful statement, though, Nikki. I don't know what I need, but I know I need something. You know what I mean? Because I'm not okay where I'm at, Very powerful.
Yeah. Simple
Yeah.
and easy too. Yep.
Don't have to have all the answers. You
Yeah.
don't have to have all the
Most
answers.
times you don't have them anyway, so don't pretend like
Yeah.
Well, but I think that can also be a hindrance because some people think they should know, right? They think they
Oh,
should
that's a
know.
big deal.
They think
That
they
right
should
there,
know
what you're
what to
saying.
do. They think they should know
And they
how
judge
to.
themselves.
Yeah.
They judge themselves because they don't know. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
what keeps, you're absolute. Yeah, I can totally agree with that and see that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
People think I'm this. What are they going to think if I don't know? Oh my God, I should know
Mm-hmm.
better than
Right.
this. Why can't I do this? And then 3 months later, nothing's done. Nothing's changed.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, such a good
Exactly.
point.
nothing at all.
Well, wonderful. This has been another fantastic discussion.
Yeah,
Yay!
absolutely. I loved it. Loved every
I
bit of
loved
it.
it
Thank
too.
you so much, Miss Nikki.
Of
Thank you.
course.
Thank you. Close us out, Kamisha.
Well, I want to say to anyone who is watching, anyone who is listening, if you know that you are in a place of loneliness, because loneliness and being alone is not the same, right? And we know the difference. I know sometimes people like to say, "Oh, I'm alone. I'm not lonely. I'm not." Okay, you know the difference, right? If you are in a place where you know that you are lonely, then
Mm-hmm.
take some of the steps that Miss Nikki has just shared, right? That to start to pull yourself out of it because you can. You absolutely can. Just as Denise has shared and Nikki has shared, they have both been in, places that were very dark. But they were able to pull themselves out by taking some action, letting other people know, letting other people in, right? And it is scary and it is fearful and it can be hard, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that. And of course, if you are interested in having a romantic relationship, she's a relationship coach, so absolutely
Mm-hmm.
reach out to her and see if you all might be able to work together, if she can help you and support you there. We are also building community here at Wisdom and Bloom. So feel
Mm-hmm.
free always to reach out to us and contact us through our social media platforms or our email or any of the myriad of ways, that we are out here in this space
Yeah.
because you are not alone. And we don't want you to feel that you are alone and that you can't move out of where you are and be where it is that you want to be, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have the answers, but that doesn't mean you can't get there with support from other people.
That's
So
Wow.
right.
that's my closing remark, Denise. And again, thank you, Miss Nikki, for joining us. Keep
Keep
blooming.
blooming, ladies.